Imagine this. Everything you've ever believed about faith, spirituality, and your place in the universe was part of a 2,000-year-old illusion. A grand, cosmic trick woven into the fabric of your reality, so subtle you never even noticed it was there. They called it the Age of Pisces, an era of devotion, sacrifice, and divine connection. But what if I told you it was something far more shocking? A carefully designed system, not to set your soul free, but to chain it to someone else's story. You're probably sitting there, jaw dropped, thinking, no way, that's impossible. But hold on, this isn't just a wild theory. It's a truth that's been hiding in plain sight, and it's about to turn everything you thought you knew upside down. Welcome to a journey that will leave you stunned, maybe even a little repulsed, at how deeply this spell has shaped you. I'm your name, and in this video, we're ripping apart the veil of the Age of Pisces to reveal the astonishing reality beneath. Buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into the greatest spiritual heist in history. Let's start with a question that might make you squirm. Have you ever felt like the beliefs you were raised with don't quite fit? Like there's a nagging voice inside you whispering that something's off? Maybe you've sat through sermons, read sacred texts, or followed traditions, and somewhere deep down, you felt nothing. Just a cold, hollow indifference. That's not your fault. That's the Age of Pisces at work. A system so insidious it made you feel guilty for questioning, apathetic for not feeling holy enough. For over 2 millennia, this astrological age has been sold to us as a golden era of faith and love. But what they didn't tell you is that it was built on a framework of control, one that taught you to look outside yourself for answers, to bow to authority, and to ignore the spark of truth within you. It's shocking, isn't it? The idea that the very systems meant to uplift you might have been designed to keep you small. And yet, the more you look, the more you see it. A world that thrives on your doubt, your obedience, your disconnection. Think about the symbols all around you. The fish, for instance. You've seen it everywhere, on churches, in art, etched into history. They told you it's a sign of faith, a beacon of salvation. But what if it's something else entirely? 2 fish, swimming in opposite directions, tied by a thread. Sounds poetic, right? But here's the jaw-dropping truth. That symbol predates Christianity by centuries. It's an ancient archetype of balance, spirit and body, light and shadow, you and the divine. Yet, under the Age of Pisces, it was twisted into a tool of division. One fish was labeled good, the other bad. You were taught to embrace sacrifice and reject desire, to worship spirit and demonize flesh. And you never even questioned it, because who questions something so sacred? That's the genius of this spell. It's so deeply woven into our culture that questioning it feels like betrayal. But let's be real, doesn't it make you a little sick to think you've been following a script that wasn't written for your freedom? Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a conspiracy. And yeah, it's tempting to shrug it off, to let that cold apathy creep in and say, whatever, it's just history. But that's exactly what the system wants, to keep you indifferent, to make you feel like your questions don't matter. The Age of Pisces didn't just shape religion, it shaped how you see yourself. From the moment you were born, you were handed a story. You're flawed, you're broken, you need someone else. A priest, a prophet, a savior, to make you whole. And if you dared to trust your own instincts, to feel the divine within you, you were met with guilt, shame, or worse, silence. That's not faith. That's manipulation dressed up in holy words. It's enough to make you recoil, to feel a chill of disgust at how seamlessly this narrative was woven into every part of your life, your family, your school, your culture. Let's pause for a second. Picture this. A child, maybe you, sitting in a pew, listening to stories of sacrifice and salvation. You're told to be good, to obey, to never question. But deep down, there's a spark, a fleeting moment where you wonder, why does this feel so heavy? That spark is what we're here to ignite. The Age of Pisces wasn't just an era, it was a psychological blueprint, one that made you fear your own power. It taught you to look up to the heavens instead of into your own heart. And the most shocking part? It worked. For centuries, billions of people followed this script, building systems, religions, governments, societies that reinforced the same message: you're not enough on your own. Doesn't that make you want to scream, or at least roll your eyes at how cleverly they pulled it off? Here's where it gets really wild. This isn't about tearing down your beliefs or making you feel betrayed. It's about waking you up to the possibility that the divine isn't out there, it's in you. The Age of Pisces convinced you to hand over your power, but what if you could take it back? What if the truth you've been searching for isn't in a book or a building, but in the quiet voice you've been taught to ignore? That's the surprise waiting for you in this series. We're not just exposing a system, we're uncovering a truth so profound it'll leave you speechless. And yeah, it might make you a little uneasy, maybe even repulsed, to realize how much of your life has been shaped by this spell. But that discomfort? It's the first step to freedom. So, stick with me. Over the next 7 parts, we'll unravel how the Age of Pisces rewired your mind, suppressed your intuition, and convinced you to trade your power for promises. We'll explore real stories, dive into history, and show you how to break free from this ancient spell. If you're ready to be shocked, to question everything, and to rediscover the truth within you, leave a comment below saying, "I'm ready." And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, we've got a lot more to uncover. Let's break this spell together. Have you ever felt a quiet ache in your chest? A sadness you couldn't quite name, like you've lost something vital but can't remember what it was? That's the shadow of the Age of Pisces, a 2,000-year-long era that didn't just shape our beliefs, it dimmed our inner light. In part 1, we uncovered the shocking truth that this age was less about divine love and more about control, a system that made us doubt our own power. Now, let's dive deeper into the emotional toll of this spell, the heavy disappointment it left in our souls, and the simmering frustration that comes when you realize you've been taught to betray yourself. This is the story of how the Age of Pisces broke our hearts, and why that heartbreak makes us so angry. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join us as we unravel the truth behind this ancient illusion. The Age of Pisces didn't just ask for your faith, it demanded your surrender. From the moment you were born, you were handed a script. You're flawed, unworthy, and in need of salvation from someone or something greater. Imagine being a child, wide-eyed and curious, only to be told your natural instincts are sinful, your questions dangerous, your heart deceitful. That's not guidance, it's a wound. It's a deep, aching disappointment that settles into your bones, making you feel like you're never quite enough. You grow up carrying this weight, this unspoken regret that you're not whole unless someone else says so. And the worst part? You didn't even choose this story. It was written for you by systems, religions, cultures, institutions that profited from your self-doubt. Let's talk about that sadness for a moment. Think back to a time when you felt you had to hide a part of yourself to be accepted. Maybe it was your creativity, your anger, your joy, something raw and real that didn't fit the mold. For me, it was growing up in a community where questioning the sacred was met with silence or shame. I remember sitting in a church as a teenager, listening to a sermon about sacrifice, feeling this heavy melancholy because I wanted to believe, but it felt like I was betraying my own truth. That's the Piscean spell at work. It makes you grieve the parts of yourself you're taught to suppress. It's not just personal, it's collective. Billions of people, across centuries, have carried this same sorrow, this regret for a connection to the divine that was always within reach but made to feel so far away. And then there's the anger. Oh, the anger. When you start to see the truth, that this sadness wasn't an accident, that it was engineered, it's like a fire ignites inside you. You feel irritated, even indignant, at how cleverly this system was designed to keep you small. The Age of Pisces didn't just teach you to doubt yourself, it made that doubt feel holy. It wrapped control in the language of love, obedience in the guise of faith. Think about the rituals you've followed. Prayers, confessions, traditions. How many times were you told they were for your salvation, when really, they were about compliance? It's infuriating to realize that the very systems meant to uplift you were built to keep you in line, to make you feel guilty for wanting to be whole. Let's ground this in a real story. Meet Emily, a woman in her 30s who grew up in a strict religious household. She was taught that her worth came from being quiet, obedient, and selfless. But Emily was a dreamer, full of questions and a fierce inner fire. When she dared to voice her doubts about the rigid rules she was raised with, she was met with disapproval, even ostracism. The sadness of losing her community was crushing, but what stung more was the realization that she'd been taught to see her own curiosity as a sin. That betrayal sparked a quiet rage in her, a frustration that grew as she uncovered how deeply the Piscean blueprint had shaped her life. Emily's story isn't unique. It's the story of countless people who felt the sting of being told their truth isn't valid, their questions aren't welcome. The Age of Pisces leaned heavily on symbols to enforce this control, none more powerful than the fish. Originally, the two fish tied by a thread were a map of balance, spirit and body, heaven and earth, moving together in harmony. But in the Piscean era, that harmony was shattered. One fish was elevated as divine, the other cast as sinful. You were told to reject your desires, your body, your instincts, all in the name of purity. This wasn't just a spiritual teaching, it was a psychological trap. It left you with a lingering regret, a sadness for the parts of yourself you were forced to abandon. And when you realized that this division was intentional, designed to keep you dependent on external authority, the anger bubbles up. Why were we taught to fear half of who we are? Who benefits when we're too sad, too ashamed, to trust ourselves? That frustration isn't just personal, it's a collective wound. Look at the world around us. Systems built on guilt and control, from religious hierarchies to societal norms that reward conformity over authenticity. The Age of Pisces didn't just shape our spiritual lives. It bled into everything: how we work, how we love, how we judge ourselves. It's why so many of us feel this quiet despair, this sense that we're missing something essential. And it's why, when we start to question, we feel a righteous anger at being misled for so long. But here's the thing, that sadness and anger are your soul's way of waking up. They're signals that you're ready to reclaim what was taken from you. As we move forward in this series, we'll explore how the Age of Pisces used these emotions to keep us trapped, but also how they can become our fuel for liberation. The sadness you feel is a call to mourn what was lost, but also to rediscover it. The anger is your power, pushing you to question, to challenge, to break free. If this resonates, leave a comment below saying, "I feel it." Share this video with someone who's ready to face these emotions too. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell. We're just getting started on this journey to break the Piscean spell. What if the truth you've been searching for all your life wasn't locked away in ancient texts or guarded by gatekeepers, but was already inside you, waiting to be uncovered? In part 2, we explored the heavy sadness and burning frustration of the Age of Pisces, a 2,000-year spell that taught us to doubt our own power. But today, we're flipping the script. Imagine the sheer happiness of realizing you're not broken, not lost, but whole, brilliantly, beautifully whole. That spark of joy, that moment of delight when you reconnect with your inner truth, is what this part is all about. And trust me, it's going to catch you by surprise, like finding a treasure you didn't even know you'd lost. Your name, and we're diving into the exhilarating moment when you rediscover your light and realize it was never gone. If you're ready to feel uplifted, hit that subscribe button and let's bask in the glow of this awakening. Picture this: you're walking through life, carrying the weight of guilt and shame, believing you need to earn your worth. Then one day, something shifts. Maybe it's a quiet moment of reflection, a conversation that sparks a new thought, or a sudden realization that the divine isn't out there, it's in you. That moment is pure joy, a burst of happiness that feels like coming home. The Age of Pisces spent centuries convincing us we're flawed, that we need external saviors to be whole. But what if the most astonishing truth is that you were never broken? That your soul, your essence, your light has been there all along, waiting for you to notice? It's like opening a dusty old box in the attic and finding a piece of yourself you forgot existed. That's the kind of delight we're talking about. A happiness so deep it rearranges your entire perspective. This joy isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's a revelation. The Piscean spell taught us to look to priests, prophets, and institutions for salvation, but the moment you realize you don't need permission to be whole, it's like a veil lifts. You start to see the world differently. The fish symbol, once a mark of division, spirit versus body, good versus bad, becomes a reminder of your own balance. Those two fish, tied by a thread, aren't enemies. They're partners in a cosmic dance. Spirit and flesh, heaven and earth, all moving together in harmony. The surprise hits you like a bolt of lightning. You were taught to reject half of yourself, but embracing both is what makes you whole. That realization is a moment of pure cheerfulness, a lightness that makes you want to laugh, cry, and shout all at once. Let's ground this in a real story. Meet Jamal, a 28-year-old artist I met at a community workshop. Raised in a strict religious environment, he was told his creativity was a distraction from faith, his vibrant personality too worldly. For years, he dimmed his light, painting in secret, feeling guilty for his passion. Then, during a meditation retreat, something clicked. As he sat in silence, he felt a rush of joy, an overwhelming sense of being enough just as he is. He described it as, like waking up from a dream I didn't know I was in. To his amazement, the more he embraced his creativity, the more connected he felt to the divine. Not through rules, but through his own expression. Jamal's story is a testament to the happiness that comes when you stop fighting yourself and start celebrating who you are. This joy is contagious, and that's what makes it so surprising. When you reconnect with your inner light, it doesn't just change you, it ripples outward. Think about the last time you saw someone living authentically, unapologetically themselves. Maybe it was a friend who quit a soul-crushing job to pursue their passion, or a stranger who spoke their truth with courage. Didn't it make you smile, maybe even inspire you to take a small step toward your own truth? That's the power of this awakening. The Age of Pisces kept us isolated, tethered to hierarchies that made us feel small. But when you embrace your wholeness, you become a beacon, lighting up the path for others. It's an unexpected gift, a happiness that grows when shared. Here's where it gets even more astonishing. This joy doesn't require you to reject your past or your beliefs. It's not about throwing out faith, it's about redefining it. Faith isn't about following someone else's script, it's about trusting the spark within you. The Piscean era made us believe that joy was earned through suffering, that we had to sacrifice to be worthy. But the truth is, joy is your birthright. You don't need to climb a mountain or beg for forgiveness to feel it. It's there in the way you laugh, the way you create, the way you love. And the most surprising part? The system didn't want you to know that. By keeping you focused on external salvation, it buried the happiness that was already yours. As we move through this series, we'll see how this rediscovery of joy is the first step toward breaking the Piscean spell. It's not just about feeling good, it's about reclaiming your power, your truth, your connection to the divine within. If this is sparking something in you, leave a comment below saying, "I feel the joy." Share this video with someone who needs a reminder of their own light. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell. We're building towards something truly transformative. Let's keep this happiness alive and see where it takes us next. Have you ever felt a surge of energy, a rush so electric it makes your heart race, like you're standing on the edge of something life-changing? That's the thrill of breaking free from the chains of the Age of Pisces, the 2,000-year spell that tried to dim your light. In part 3, we basked in the joy of rediscovering our inner truth, that spark of divinity that's always been within us. Now, we're taking it up a notch, embracing the sheer excitement of shattering the old rules and stepping into your power. This is about the heart-pounding enthusiasm of reclaiming your voice, your instincts, your freedom. And trust me, the truth you'll uncover here will hit you like a bolt from the blue, leaving you amazed at what you've been missing. I'm your name, and today, we're diving into the exhilarating moment when you say enough to the Piscean spell and start living on your own terms. If you're pumped for this, hit that subscribe button and let's get fired up. The Age of Pisces spent centuries convincing us to play small, to follow scripts that weren't ours, to trade our authenticity for approval. But what happens when you stop? When you decide you're done with the guilt, the shame, the endless rules that tell you who you're allowed to be. It's like a dam breaking, a rush of excitement, A burst of energy that feels like you're finally alive. This isn't just about rejecting old beliefs, it's about embracing the thrill of creating new ones that come from your heart, not a pulpit. Imagine the astonishment of realizing you don't need permission to trust yourself. That's the kind of energy we're tapping into today, the kind that makes you want to jump up, shout, and rewrite your entire story. Let's talk about what that feels like. Picture a moment when you broke a rule that never made sense to you. Maybe it was speaking up in a family that valued silence, or pursuing a dream everyone called impractical. For me, it was the day I stopped apologizing for my questions about faith. I'd spent years feeling like I was betraying something sacred by wondering why certain rules existed. Then one day I just stopped. I asked, I explored, I trusted my gut. And the energy that came with that? It was electric. It was like waking up from a long sleep, shocked at how much of myself I'd been holding back. That's the power of breaking free from the Piscean spell. It's not just liberating, it's exhilarating. You realize, to your amazement, that the divine isn't a distant judge. It's a fire in your soul, waiting to be unleashed. Let's ground this in a real story. Meet Aisha, a 32-year-old entrepreneur I connected with online. Raised in a community where women were expected to prioritize family over ambition, Aisha felt trapped by expectations. She loved her culture but hated the way it stifled her dreams. One day, she attended a women's empowerment workshop and heard a speaker talk about trusting your inner voice. Something clicked. Aisha started her own business, defying the good daughter script she'd been given. The excitement of taking that leap was overwhelming. She described it as like running toward a horizon I didn't know existed. To her surprise, her family didn't reject her. Some even cheered her on. Aisha's story shows that breaking free isn't just about rebellion. It's about the thrilling discovery that you can honor your truth and still belong. This enthusiasm is what the Age of Pisces feared most. Because an excited, empowered person is unpredictable. The Piscean system relied on control, on keeping you tethered to guilt and hierarchy. It used symbols like the fish, originally a sign of balance between spirit and body, to create division, making you believe you had to choose one over the other. But when you reject that lie, when you embrace both your spiritual and human sides, the energy is unstoppable. You start to see, with wide-eyed wonder, that the rules were never about protecting you, they were about containing you. And the moment you step outside those boundaries, you're not just free, you're alive in a way you never thought possible. Here's what's so surprising about this shift: it's not about destroying the past. The Age of Pisces gave us beautiful art, music, and moments of compassion, but it also buried our ability to trust ourselves. Breaking free doesn't mean hating what came before, it means taking back the power to define your own path. It's the excitement of saying, I get to decide what's sacred. It's the astonishment of realizing that your instincts, your passions, your questions are not flaws, they're your compass. Every time you choose yourself over a script, you're rewriting the story of what it means to be human. And that, my friends, is a thrill worth chasing. As we continue this series, we'll explore how this energy can transform not just your life, but the world around you. The Age of Pisces is fading, and the Age of Aquarius is calling us to live boldly, authentically, and unapologetically. If this is lighting a fire in you, leave a comment below saying, I'm breaking free. Share this video with someone who's ready to feel this excitement too. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell. We're on a roll, and the best is yet to come. Let's keep this energy alive and see where it takes us. There's a moment when you realize you're not just breaking free from old stories. You're stepping into a version of yourself that feels whole, radiant, and deeply satisfying. That's the happiness, the pride, that comes from reclaiming your wholeness after centuries of being told you're incomplete. In Part 4, we felt the electric thrill of shattering the Age of Pisces chains. Now, we're diving into the profound joy of owning your truth, standing tall in your power, and feeling proud of who you are. But there's a bittersweet edge, a quiet sadness for the time lost, the years spent believing you weren't enough. This part is about celebrating your journey while acknowledging the regret of what could have been. I'm your name, and today, we're embracing the pride of being whole, even as we mourn the moments we doubted ourselves. If you're ready to feel this, hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. The Age of Pisces spent 2,000 years convincing us we're broken, that our worth depends on external validation, be it from a deity, a doctrine, or a system. But what happens when you reject that lie? When you stand in front of a mirror, look into your own eyes, and say, "I am enough"? That's not just happiness, it's pride. It's the deep satisfaction of knowing you don't need to earn your place in the universe. You already belong. This joy is different from the fleeting excitement of breaking free. It's a steady, glowing warmth, like coming home to yourself after a long, exhausting journey. You feel proud not because you've achieved some external goal, but because you've reclaimed what was always yours. Your wholeness, your divinity, your right to exist as you are. This pride is transformative, but it comes with a shadow of sadness. There's a melancholy in realizing how long you carried the Piscean weight, how many years you spent dimming your light to fit in. Think about it. How many times did you silence your voice, hide your dreams, or shrink yourself to avoid judgment? For me, it was the countless moments I stayed quiet in discussions about faith, afraid my questions would make me an outcast. Each time, I felt a pang of regret, a quiet disappointment that I wasn't living my truth. That sadness is real, and it's okay to feel it. It's the grief for the versions of yourself you buried, the dreams you deferred, the instincts you ignored because someone told you they were wrong. Let's bring this to life with a story. Meet Carlos, a 40-year-old teacher I met at a mindfulness retreat. Growing up, Carlos was taught that his sensitivity was a weakness, that men should be stoic, not emotional. He spent decades suppressing his feelings, chasing a version of masculinity that left him hollow. When he started practicing meditation, he discovered a well of emotions, joy, grief, love, that he'd buried. The first time he allowed himself to cry openly, he felt a rush of pride, a happiness in reclaiming his full humanity. But with it came sadness for the years he spent hiding, the relationships strained by his silence. Carlos's story is a mirror for so many of us, proud of the person we're becoming, yet mourning the time we lost to someone else's script. The Age of Pisces used symbols like the fish to enforce this division, splitting us into good and bad parts. The fish, once a sign of balance, became a tool to make us reject our bodies, our desires, our instincts. That rejection wasn't just spiritual, it was personal. It left us with a lingering regret, a disappointment in ourselves for not seeing through the lie sooner. But here's the beautiful part, that sadness doesn't define you. It's a stepping stone to pride. Every time you choose to honor your truth, whether it's speaking up, pursuing a passion, or simply saying no to what doesn't serve you, you're rewriting the story. You're saying, "I'm whole and I'm proud of it." That's the happiness that the Piscean spell tried to bury, the satisfaction of living authentically. What's so powerful about this pride is that it's not arrogant, it's rooted in self-acceptance. The Age of Pisces taught us that pride is a sin, that humility means making yourself small. But real humility is owning your light without dimming it for others. It's standing tall, not to tower over anyone, but to shine so brightly that others feel safe to shine too. And yet, that bittersweet sadness lingers, a regret for the moments we didn't shine, the times we let the system convince us we were less. That's why this journey is so profound. It's not just about celebrating who you are now, but honoring the person you were, the one who survived the weight of those lies. As we move forward, we'll explore how this pride fuels action, how it pushes us to live boldly in the Age of Aquarius. If this resonates, leave a comment below saying, "I'm proud." Share this video with someone who needs to feel this joy and heal this sadness. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell. We're building toward a life-changing shift. Let's carry this pride forward and see what it creates. What does it feel like to take a bold step toward your truth, knowing it might shake everything you've ever known? That's the vibrant, heart-pounding joy of acting on your awakening, the kind of enthusiasm that makes you feel alive. In Part 5, we celebrated the pride of reclaiming our wholeness, tinged with the sadness of time lost. Now, we're diving into the exhilarating moment when you turn that pride into action, when you live your truth out loud, even as a quiet fear whispers, "What if you fail?" This part is about the thrill of moving forward despite the anxiety, the rush of choosing yourself even when it feels risky. I'm your name, and today, we're exploring how to harness this vibrant energy to break the Piscean spell for good. If you're ready to feel this spark, hit that subscribe button and let's ignite some action. The Age of Pisces spent 2,000 years teaching us to stay still, to obey, to fear stepping outside the lines. It told us our instincts were dangerous, our questions heretical, our power something to suppress. But when you start to see through that lie, when you realize your wholeness is your birthright, there's a surge of excitement that pushes you to act. It's the kind of joy that makes you want to create, speak, move, to live in a way that honors every part of you. Maybe it's starting a project you've always dreamed of, or having a tough conversation you've avoided, or simply saying no to a system that no longer serves you. That action, no matter how small, is electric. It's the vibrancy of living authentically, of saying, "This is who I am, and I'm done hiding." But let's be real, action comes with fear. There's a nervousness that creeps in, a quiet anxiety that asks, "What if I'm wrong? What if I lose everything?" That's the Piscean spell's last defense, trying to keep you in check with unease. It's the voice that says you're betraying your family, your faith, your culture if you step out of line. For me, it was the moment I decided to share my spiritual journey publicly. I was buzzing with enthusiasm, ready to speak my truth, but my stomach churned with fear. Fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of alienating people I cared about. That's the tension of this moment. The joy of action colliding with the anxiety of what it might cost. But here's the secret, that fear isn't your enemy. It's a sign you're on the right path, pushing past the old programming. Let's ground this in a story. Meet Priya, a 35-year-old nurse I met at a community event. Priya grew up in a traditional household where her career was chosen for her, safe, stable, approved. But she always felt a pull toward writing poetry, a passion she kept hidden. When she finally mustered the courage to share her work at an open mic, the excitement was overwhelming. She described it as feeling like my soul was singing. But the fear was there too, a knot in her chest worrying about what her family would think, whether she'd be seen as unserious. To her surprise, her poetry touched people, sparking conversations that made her feel seen. Priya's story shows that action, even when it's scary, is the bridge between who you've been and who you're becoming. It's the joy of living your truth, even when your hands shake. The Age of Pisces used control to keep us passive, splitting the fish symbol into good and bad, to make us doubt our instincts. That division wasn't just spiritual, it was a call to inaction, a way to keep us from challenging the system. But when you act, when you trust your gut, share your voice, or create from your heart, you're dismantling that spell. The excitement of that rebellion is unmatched, but the fear is real too. It's the unease of stepping into the unknown, the nervousness of defying expectations. Yet, every time you choose action over hesitation, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than the programming. You're not just breaking free, you're building something new. What's so powerful about this moment is that action isn't about perfection. It's about showing up. The Piscean spell taught us that we had to be flawless to be worthy, but the Age of Aquarius, which we're entering now, celebrates movement, courage, authenticity. Every step you take, whether it's a bold leap or a quiet choice, sends a ripple through the world. It inspires others, challenges systems, and reshapes reality. And yes, the fear will be there, whispering doubts, but that's okay. Fear doesn't mean you're wrong, it means you're human. The joy of action is in embracing both, the enthusiasm of creating and the anxiety of change, and moving forward anyway. As we head into the next parts, we'll see how this vibrant energy builds a new way of living, one where fear becomes a guide, not a cage. If this is firing you up, leave a comment below saying, "I'm taking action." Share this video with someone who needs this push to act on their truth. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell. We're on the verge of something unstoppable. Let's keep this energy moving. Have you ever felt a burst of happiness so pure it feels like your heart might explode? A pride so deep it anchors you in who you are? That's the joy of living your truth fully, unapologetically, after breaking free from the shadows of the Age of Pisces. In Part 6, we explored the thrilling rush of taking action despite fear. Now, we're diving into the profound delight of standing in your truth, radiating pride in your authentic self. But there's a catch. A pulse of fear, a flicker of panic that comes with realizing how vulnerable it feels to be so exposed. This part is about embracing that happiness while navigating the apprehension of living boldly in a world that's not always ready for it. I'm your name, and today we're celebrating the pride of being you, even when it scares you. If you're ready to shine, hit that subscribe button and let's light up the world. The Age of Pisces spent 2,000 years convincing us to hide, to conform, to dim our light to fit into someone else's story. But when you decide to live your truth, when you say, "This is who I am, and I'm done pretending," there's a happiness that washes over you like sunlight. It's the pride of knowing you're no longer playing a role, no longer bowing to a system that demands your submission. This isn't just about feeling good, it's about feeling whole. It's the delight of waking up each day knowing you're aligned with your soul, your values, your truth. You walk taller, speak clearer, love fiercer. And that pride? It's magnetic. It draws people to you, inspires them, reminds them they can shine too. But let's not sugarcoat it. Living your truth comes with fear. There's a moment of panic, a sudden alarm in your chest, when you realize how exposed you are. The Age of Pisces trained us to fear standing out, to dread the consequences of defying the script. What if you're judged? What if you're rejected? What if you lose the safety of fitting in? That apprehension is real, and it can feel like a storm brewing inside you. For me, it hit when I started sharing my journey openly on social media. The happiness of being authentic was overwhelming. I felt proud, alive, free. But late at night, the fear crept in. What if I'm too much? What if I'm misunderstood? That's the Piscean spell's last trick, trying to pull you back with panic, making you question whether your truth is worth the risk. Let's ground this in a story. Meet Liam, a 29-year-old musician I met at a local open mic. Liam grew up in a community where music was seen as a hobby, not a life. He was expected to follow a stable path, but his heart was in his songs. When he finally quit his desk job to pursue music full-time, the joy was indescribable. He said it was like breathing for the first time. He felt proud, not just of his music, but of his courage to choose himself. Yet, the fear was there too, a gnawing panic about financial insecurity, family disapproval, failure. One night, after a performance, an audience member told him his song gave her the courage to leave a toxic relationship. That moment shifted everything. Liam realized his truth wasn't just for him, it was a gift to others. Despite the fear, his pride in living authentically grew stronger. The Age of Pisces used symbols like the fish to divide us, making us believe we had to reject parts of ourselves to be worthy. That division kept us small, afraid to stand out. But living your truth undoes that. It's a declaration that you're both fish, spirit and body, light and shadow, and you're proud of it. That pride is revolutionary, but the fear is part of the package. The system taught us that standing out is dangerous, that being seen invites judgment. And yet, every time you choose to live your truth, whether it's through your art, your voice, or your choices, you're dismantling that system. You're showing the world that happiness doesn't come from hiding. It comes from shining, even when it's scary. What's so powerful about this pride is that it's contagious. When you live your truth, you give others permission to do the same. It's not about being fearless, it's about being brave enough to act despite the panic. The Age of Aquarius, which we're stepping into, celebrates this courage. It's an era where your truth isn't a threat, it's a spark. And yes, the fear will linger, the apprehension of being too much or not enough. But that fear is proof you're alive, proof you're pushing past the old programming. The joy of living your truth is worth every moment of unease, because it's the pride of knowing you're no longer a prisoner to someone else's story. As we head into our final part, we'll explore how to carry this pride into a call to action, transforming fear into fuel for change. If this is lighting you up, leave a comment below saying, "I'm living my truth." Share this video with someone who needs to feel this pride. Pictorial scene of two fish tied by a golden thread, glowing in the cosmic void, symbolizing balance and unity. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell. We're building to a powerful conclusion. Let's keep shining. What if you could wake up every day with a fire in your heart, a vibrant energy that says, "I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm ready to live my truth"? That's the exhilarating call of the Age of Aquarius, the era we're stepping into after 2,000 years of the Piscean spell. In Part 7, we celebrated the pride of living authentically, even when fear tried to hold us back. Now, we're closing this journey with a powerful invitation to act, to create, to live in a way that lights up the world. Yes, there's a nervous flutter, a quiet anxiety about what this change might mean, but that's just proof you're on the edge of something transformative. I'm Your Name, and today, we're issuing a call to action. Break free from the Piscean chains and step boldly into a life of joy and authenticity. If you're ready to make waves, hit that subscribe button and let's spark a revolution together. The Age of Pisces taught us to stay small, to follow scripts that dimmed our light and silenced our truth. It used symbols like the fish, once a sign of balance between spirit and body, to divide us, making us believe we had to reject parts of ourselves to be worthy. But we're done with that. The joy of this moment is realizing you have the power to rewrite the story. It's the enthusiasm of knowing you can live in a way that honors every part of you. Your dreams, your instincts, your fire. This isn't just about personal freedom, it's about collective change. When you live your truth, you become a beacon, inspiring others to do the same. That's the vibrant energy of the Age of Aquarius, a world where we don't just seek truth, we create it together. But change is scary. There's an unease, a nervous energy that comes with stepping away from the familiar. The Piscean spell trained us to fear the unknown, to worry about judgment, rejection, or failure if we stray from the path. Maybe you're thinking, what if I lose my community? What if I'm not ready? That anxiety is real, and it's okay to feel it. For me, the decision to make this series was a leap into the unknown. I was buzzing with excitement to share these ideas, but there was a knot in my stomach. Fear of criticism, of being too bold, of stirring things up. That's the tension of this call to action. The joy of creating a new way of living, paired with the nervousness of leaving the old behind. But here's the truth, that fear is a sign you're breaking free. Let's ground this in a story. Meet Sophia, a 27-year-old graphic designer I met through a friend. Sophia grew up in a family where success meant a stable, predictable career. But she dreamed of creating art that told stories of her culture. When she decided to leave her corporate job to freelance, the enthusiasm was overwhelming. She felt alive, like she was finally doing what she was born for. But the fear was there too, a constant worry about financial instability and disappointing her parents. One day, she created a piece that went viral online, sparking conversations about identity and heritage. People reached out, saying her art gave them courage to pursue their own dreams. Sophia's leap, despite her anxiety, didn't just change her life, it touched others. Her story shows that acting on your truth, even when it's scary, creates ripples far beyond yourself. This call to action is about more than personal change, it's about building a new world. The Age of Pisces kept us divided, tethered to hierarchies and guilt. But the Age of Aquarius is about connection, about living in a way that honors both the individual and the collective. Every time you choose authenticity, whether it's starting a passion project, speaking up against injustice, or simply being unapologetically you, you're dismantling the old system. You're showing others it's possible to live without shame, without fear dictating your choices. And yes, the nervousness will linger. Change is daunting. But the joy of knowing you're part of something bigger, something vibrant and alive, makes it worth every moment of unease. So, here's your invitation. Take one step today. It doesn't have to be huge. Write a journal entry, share a truth with a friend, start that project you've been putting off. Feel the excitement of acting on your truth, and let the fear be your guide, not your cage. The Piscean spell is breaking, and you're part of the awakening. If this resonates, leave a comment below saying, "I'm ready to live my truth." Share this video with someone who needs this push. And if you want to dive deeper, join our free newsletter at your website link for insights that go beyond this series. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's keep this fire burning. The Age of Aquarius is here. Let's live it together.